This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so once again, good morning and good evening, who have joined this demo session. I'm Satish from Isha, and very quick introduction about me. I have close to 13, 14 years of experience in IT, and I have been working in different streams all together in those 13, 14 years, right from the mainframe development and support, and then bulk of years of experience in the performance testing, performance engineering field, and couple of years experience in the product development as well. Okay, so I've seen the entire life cycle starting from your design, and then development, and then very specifically on our performance testing and engineering. Okay, so that's a quick introduction about me. And today's session will be to provide you a complete walkthrough on the topics that we are going to cover in this performance engineering. Okay, so this performance engineering course is planned for 25, close to 25 hours, covering various aspects of performance engineering as per the current need in our projects. Okay, so we'll start with the course content, the topics that we are going to cover. I'll just try to provide a high-level walkthrough on all these areas, and then slowly I'll get into the details about it. Okay, so from a topic perspective, we have tailored this course in such a way that whatever that is required, that is expected from the today's job market, or that is expected from any project team. Whenever you say you are a performance engineer, what is that the team expects out of you? That is what we have tailored as a topic as part of this course content. Okay, so the various topics I'll just quickly provide a walkthrough. So initial, we will start with the very basics about the programming and the concepts, right? Most of us, you, me, and whoever it is, right? When we start transforming from performance testing to engineering, there is always going to be a kind of mindset that we need to change it, right? We're going to talk a lot about problems, root cause analysis, bottlenecks, and we are going to talk something technically to the developer, saying there's a problem with your code, with your object, with your method, with your class, with your query. So which means you should start thinking yourself a little bit as a programmer, or a little bit as a kind of a technical person, which means you should get something onto the basics, right? Very basics. Not, we are not going to do any hardcore application development here, but it's more about getting ourselves comfortable with this terminologies, concepts, and then a little bit of programming and so on, compiling it, running it, deploying it, right? So we'll start the topic with the concepts and programming as part of the Java basics. Okay, and then as an extension, we'll also look into the JVM basics, which is very again important to have your basics set before we jump onto any of the engineering topics. So first things are going to be Java basics and JVM basics. Then we will start with, we will assume that we are going to work in a project where a new application is getting deployed, and then we will start our sessions. So before I go further into this topics, right, what we will have as part of our environment for the session, environment for a complete performance engineering session, right? So we will have a sample application, a Java application with SQL as a database, MySQL as a database, We'll have that in my mission, where I'll be using this e-library application for the entire course content. So as I said, it's a Java-based application deployed in Tomcat. That is what we'll be using it for the entire course. So quick look at that. So this is running in my Tomcat, the application, and then I'll just quickly show the actual application as well, which we will be using it. This is a e-library application. You will be logging into this. It will have multiple functionalities to look into the librarians, add a librarian, add delete a view. So all typical functionalities we will have it here, and the corresponding code as well. We will have it in the Eclipse, right? The entire code for e-library, where we will go and create problem. If you see now, the login was taking it took almost what 10, 12, 14 seconds, right? So this is something we created a problem on the e-library login, and we'll also troubleshoot those problems, engineer it, optimize it, right? So we have an entire code where we will go and update the code, create the problem, and then solve it, and then again go and do a testing and profiling. All these things we'll be doing it. So for the course, we will have this Eclipse project for e-library, and then the corresponding application, which we will test it, which we will profile it, and then we'll try to find bottleneck with response time, memory, thread, all these things. We'll be doing it with this sample application. When I say sample application, it's a real application. It's a real Java application with all the required functionalities that would help us to have this course in a more practical way. Okay, so we are going to build, deploy, test, identify problems, profile, diagnosis, and recommend. That is how we are going to do it for the almost entire topic, whatever it is mentioned here, right? The response time analysis and debugging issues. Okay, we are going to create a problem in the code, and then we are going to test it, identify a problem, and then find the root cause. That is how we are going to do it. Okay, and in the right hand side, I've given the a few tools that we might be also using it. So for example, for the response time analysis, we'll be using the combination of Tomcat access log, Chrome DevTools, JProfiler, so that we would be able to nail down the problem right from the browser to the Tomcat access logs to the code level using JProfiler. Okay, so JProfiler is something we will use it for the response time debugging, as well as for the few other engineering sessions. Okay, and then we will move on to the assuming that this application is newly deployed and now we have fine-tuned a problem with response time. Then we will start with the next topic of memory. When they say memory, it is going to be Java stack, Java heap, and then memory leak analysis, memory profiling, heap dump analysis, garbage collection analysis. All these things put together is going to be the a week long or more than a week long session for memory. Again, we'll start with the concepts, try to understand how the overall Java memory is structured, what is heap, what is stack, what is difference between these two components, various other memory components, and then we will start creating problem in this code again for any of the particular Java file, any particular transaction in the e-library application. Okay, and then we will start analyzing the memory problem. We will go and do the leak analysis, find out objects which are having problem, and then we'll go and do this complete memory leak analysis. Again, we'll use a combination of JConsole, JProfiler for the memory leak analysis. Okay. And then memory leak analysis is more from the early performance, right? But when you're going to do a load testing or endurance testing, we may have also wanted to do this heap dump analysis, where live profiling is not possible. We may have to take dumps at regular intervals if at all there is a memory growth, very bad memory growth, right? So we'll also look into various ways of how to take those events, how it looks like, and then how are we troubleshoot the problem, identify the objects which are having the um, um, uh, memory problem. All these things will be part of your heap dump analysis. And again, we'll use a combination of JProfiler and JConsole, and we'll also use the specific utility from Eclipse called Memory Analyzer Tool, Eclipse MAT. Okay, and then extension of memory, these GCs. We look into various algorithm of GCs, various collectors, the concepts of GCs, major, minor collections, various components of your GC or your object promotions into Eden and into your major collections, right? So complete concepts plus we'll also look into the way we will analyze the GC logs, identify problems with respect to GC times, right? That entire thing we will make use of Visual VM also. Visual VM has a very good plugin to look into the object promotion and all these things. So we'll look into Visual VM as a tool, and also we'll use the GC log. So that's a complete GC analysis. Okay. From there, from after a week long, more than a week long memory sessions, we will then go into the Java threads concepts. So we'll look into how the Java thread work, and then we'll also look into understand how threads are created, used, terminated within a life cycle of a Java application. And then we will look into a couple of important problems that we might encounter during any load test or stress test. One from a contention perspective, one from the your thread connections perspective. How are we going to configure your min and max depending upon your requirement for the load, and then what are the various contention, and then we'll also go and try to see how we can take those thread dump to analyze a CPU problem or high response time problem, how to monitor the various state of your threads, whether it is running or waiting, or it is waiting for a log. So all these things practically we look into it. Again, we will create problems for simulating these contingents. We will look into synchronization problems. We will create a code level problem for the synchronization, and then we will see how we can detect those thread problems, and then we will go and fix those thread problem at the code level, right? So for every sessions, right, for whatever we have explained so far, for everything we have a problem created, and it is already available in the drive as well. This drive access will be given to each and every one of you who is going to enroll into it. So if you look into it, this folder will have thread lock issue, will have response time analysis issue, it will have memory issue, and we'll also give the sample Java programs which we will create in the beginning, and then it will have all the information for GC, and yeah, so everything will be here with sample war files, the scripts which will be using it, garbage collection files, all these things will be given to you. The access will be given to you so that you can practice whenever you get time, the day or in the weekend. You can follow exactly what I'm doing it, and all the tools, everything is all, either it is going to be an open source tool, or even if it is going to be a licensed tool, you will have a trial version which you can practice. So absolutely 100% whatever I have it in my laptop, you would be able to configure it in your own workstation or a laptop, and you would be able to do a complete hands-on, right? So that is what we also recommend you to do it. Okay. And then moving away from the server side analysis, so far whatever we have seen, right, response time analysis, memory analysis, garbage collection, heap dump, threads, all these things are from a server side. Okay. And then we will have a very good 2-3 days of complete sessions on the client side engineering, your client side profiling. We'll look into some of the very basics source of these client side analysis. We look into the navigation APIs, paint APIs, which are the source for every other tool in the market, to understand the load time, download times, time to first byte, and various other time to first paint, time to contentful paint, how to test it, how to analyze it, how to find out the bottleneck with cache, without cache. And we'll also look into the optimization techniques, right? What are the ways we can provide engineering recommendation for the improving your client side, your resource compressions, and then your combining the JavaScripts, minification of JavaScripts. So all various recommendation also we will look into it from a client side analysis perspective. And then before we go and look into some of the monitoring aspects of from an engineering perspective, we will try to get into some concepts about how to analyze the architecture, how to create a monitoring strategy. As a performance engineer, we'll just cannot use the tool what it is given to us, right? We should create a monitoring strategy depending upon the components that is used in your architecture. We will analyze the architecture, try to understand what components, what technology stack they have used it, what kind of server they have used it. Depending upon that, we will have to derive into a monitoring strategy. So those things as well, we will look into it in detail. And then we will go and look into a couple of important monitoring tools and techniques, right? So from a monitoring perspective, we will use AppDynamics. So the Java application which I'm currently running, right, it is connected with the AppDynamics. I'll just open it. Yeah. So this AppDynamics running in a cloud. I have access to this AppDynamics cloud. Again, this is something a light version, a free version, which every one of you can actually set it up for your own training. Absolutely free in the cloud. You can set it up in your local laptop or a workstation. You need to just install the Tomcat and then deploy the Java application, which I'm going to give it, and then we'll learn how to configure this AppDynamics agent, Java agent with the cloud as part of this session, and then you would be able to use it. So we'll use this complete AppDynamics to learn how to configure the Java application, and then how to analyze the business transactions, how to create alerts, how to create events, how to create an application, how to debug the code problems, how to look into those health rule violations, database calls, remote services, troubleshooting a response time, errors, all these things we will try to learn from an APM perspective, because from an engineering perspective, you should also very good in any one of the APM tool. We're not going to get learn every other APM tool, because it's going to keep changing from project to project. But irrespective of APM tools, every APM tool is going to have a similar functionalities. So we'll try to learn in depth about AppDynamics app monitoring. And with the current market, with the current expectation from the project, everywhere they started using open source tools. So from OS monitoring, from infra monitoring, right? We used to use perfmon or vmstat commands or top commands, the Linux, right? We will try to learn how we can use the open source tool for your infra level monitoring. So we'll again have a complete hands-on on the something called tick stack, a telegraph, influxdb, and chronograph combination. So we will again have a tool deployed in my machine, the combination of telegraph, influxdb, and chronograph, and then we will try to learn how to use it, how to configure it, each and every component, and then how to monitor the important OS level counters as part of the open source monitoring. And then we'll also try to in most of the time, right, when we run a load test, there is going to be a problem with what it is reported in the server side, what it is reported in my load runner or Jmeter. There's going to be a deviation. My tool will say there is a problem with my response time, but when I go and check in the log, it will say everything is good in the server side. AppDynamics will say response time is good. So we will try to understand how do we actually typically troubleshoot these kind of a latency problem from load generator to server, and between server to database, server to server. So we'll try to understand how these things, what are the typical problem we face during any of these load tests, and how do we approach troubleshooting the problem. Okay, that is how we will look into it. Okay, and then We'll also look into the bottleneck analysis. That's again a very important topic during a load test or an endurance test, right? We will run a couple of tests using a load runner scripts or Jmeter scripts. We'll create problems and we will troubleshoot those problems with these combination, right? We have now AppDynamics, we have this infra monitoring, and then with that combination, we'll create some problem, a thread problem. It could be a thread problem or it could be a memory problem. We will simulate some problem with the code, and then we will run some small load test or stress test, and then we will try to identify those bottleneck with these AppDynamics or with this infra monitoring. Okay. Now, so far we have seen complete analysis of all the server side, your client side, monitoring aspect. One more important aspect is going to be your database uh, aspect, right? Oracle database. So from Oracle database, we'll try to learn more from this concept perspective, how Oracle database is built, the process architecture, the memory architecture, and then we will try to understand what are the various bottleneck that can start coming from a database perspective. We'll try to learn a couple of key concepts about parsing within Oracle, caching, the buffer cache, how we can impact the response time, our poor query can impact the response time. So the all the important or more from a application performance engineer, whatever we will analyze the database, that we will try to learn. And then how to will log into the Oracle database, we'll configure the snapshots, the configure the required things to generate the AWR reports, and then we'll go and create snapshots, go and create AWR reports, and then analyze the AWR report to troubleshoot the problems within database. So that's a complete Oracle session. We will have it, but this Oracle session is more towards a as an application performance engineer. There are two things. One, what an Oracle DBA will do it. One, what an application engineer like you and me will do it. Right? So we will go and learn the concepts, go and learn the troubleshooting techniques, go and learn few important concepts of parsing and caching as an application performance engineer. Because as a DBA, you might do a lot of other tunings within your database that we will not look into it. Specifically, reason is in the projects, the DBAs will do it. Our scope as a performance application performance engineer, that part is what we will try to go and learn. Okay, and then if you see right from the starting to end, now we have seen what an engineer is going to do it, right? And then we will go and look into the concept of what is a non-functional requirement and engineering strategy, how an engineering strategy would be derived, right? Usually we used to have this particular topic in the beginning, but what we thought is once we learn all these individual things from an engineering perspective, entire course, then it will be easy for me to go and explain what will go into an engineering strategy. And you will also be able to correlate between what you learned in the previous session and then come up with the engineering strategy. So the non-functional requirement and engineering strategy is what something we will finally look into it. Okay, and then more from the future readiness, right? So we have learned everything from an performance engineering perspective. Most of the tailored topic we have covered, that is something going to be relevant for us. But everywhere you go, the people talk about DevOps, Jenkins integration, cloud resiliency, right? So as part of that, we have included two sessions, which is going to be for a future readiness. So we'll go and try to understand how DevOps work for performance testing or engineering, and then we will try to learn integration with the Jenkins, with Jmeter, or Jenkins with the AppDynamics. But the session is going to be more in terms of how exactly it happens in the projects, whether it is completely performance testing is integrated into DevOps or not, what we will do it when these are integrated and automated. So from a more real-time experience, we will have this introduction to DevOps. Similarly, introduction to cloud performance as well. Again, everywhere the cloud is there, though what we are going to do is going to be pretty much same. The approach is same. Our load testing, scripting, profiling, engineering is same, because the application, whether it is deployed in cloud or non-cloud, application is same. Application is not going to change. Application performance engineering is not going to change. But there are going to be a few more additional work we will do as an engineer. We need to understand the resiliency concept. What is resiliency? Various resiliency scenarios and auto scaling features. People talk about cloud and they say cloud is going to provide me the infrastructure on the fly. I don't need to worry about performance, right? But that is not the case. We'll try to understand what are those myths, and how, as a performance engineer, we have to mandate performance testing or engineering in cloud. We'll try to understand what are the various problems we will encounter during auto scaling, how to define scenarios to make sure auto scaling works and doesn't impact our response time. So all those various aspects as well, we will look into it as part of the introduction to the cloud. Okay, so yeah, this is the complete pack of all the topics that we are going to cover as part of the performance engineering from a day one to the last day. Okay, so before I move on to the next topic, or the follow up of these sessions, right? So the environment what we would recommend to have you with you is minimum. I mean, it is not a mandatory one, but it is recommended. Right? You just need to have your own laptop or a workstation with latest Java and Eclipse, Tomcat, where you can deploy the Java application, which I'm going to give it, and a Chrome browser, and probably a Notepad plus plus or some of the editors, and few tools to start with: JProfiler, Visual VM, JConsole. Few things you can download it directly. I'll provide you the URLs from where you can download all these tools, and the tools like AppDynamics, you can set it up on your own in the cloud. Okay, so minimum thing, you need to have these things. When most of you might already have these things in your laptop, it is not something every one which we are asking you to download and install it. It's going to be very simple, straightforward. Okay, the whatever software that is required, all the war files, all the application code, downloadables, right, and the link to download these tools, we will share it through a Google Sheet, and then Google Drive once you enroll to the course. Okay, but this is seriously expected from you, so that it will be really useful if you're going to do it and so on along with the session, or maybe in the weekend, at least during the weekend, if you have time, you can do it. That is what it is recommended. Okay, and as I said, we will have this Google Drive as well as a sheet which I will share it with you. This sheet will have the links, every other software which you are going to download. Some of there might be few links with good related topics to you to probably explore later. Right, all these softwares will be here from where you can download it: Tomcat, Visual VM, JProfiler, Eclipse, setting your Java, JDK, Eclipse, MySQL, right? Telegraph, AppDynamics, TickStack, all these things you will have it as a link. And then we'll also maintain a Q&A sheet. Okay, so normally the way it works is, for my previous sessions, people used to post their questions offline, right? After the session, if they have any questions, they used to put this question. Even during the session, when I'm taking a session, if they have some question, they will put this question here in the sheet, so that I will be able to take those questions and answer it in the end of the session. Or if it is going to be a descriptive answer that you have to provide, I will also put it answer those in the sheet itself. Okay, so that is how we will interact and make sure this Q&A is answered. Also, end of the session, right, we'll have close to say 20-30 questions, which you will be able to refer it back at any point of time. Okay, so that is something we will recommend. And also in the same sheet, there will also be a couple of important interview questions that will be part of the sheet. And yeah, followed by a couple of important other things also. You will have it here, some of the templates, some of the client side template, GC tuning templates. So but basically the important things are going to be the links to download the softwares and the Q&A between you and me during the session or after the session. Okay, that is what this drive and sheet access will be given to you once you enroll to the session. Okay. So before I go further, right, before we start the actual engineering session, it is going to be introduction about the engineering, what are the various engineering activities that we do from an SDLC cycle, and then we'll start with the as I said in the beginning, right, most of us, even I, had this kind of a roadblock when we started from moving away from testing to engineering, transforming to performance testing to engineering. We'll try to break that block. We'll try to see how easy it is going to be learning engineering concept and then move towards that journey. It is not going to be a 1 day, 2 day, 1 week, 1 month. It is going to take a couple of months for you to practice these things. Even if you don't get a opportunity in your project, right? Most of the time you will not get an opportunity to be a performance engineer. So we don't need to worry about it. You can make yourself ready. You just need to follow these complete engineering course, deploy everything whatever we are learning in this session in your laptop, because you say for example, right, you have a server running in a machine, you have a application, you have a code, you have the database, and you have the tools, and we have a code with a response time problem, memory problem. So everything, you have that environment for you to go and test it, validate it, find out problems, do the diagnostics, identify the bottleneck, go and fix it, right? So you have everything that you typically will get in a project. In fact, even in a project, you will not get all these things exposed to you at all, right, from a code level. So it is a very good thing that you can simulate yourself, but don't wait for the opportunity to come, so that you, when the opportunity come, you will be confident to take it up, right? 3 months later, when a project is coming, people asking you to do a engineering role, you can confidently go and take it or talk about it at least. Okay, so that is what we are going to learn and get that confidence from the session. Okay, so to continue with that, we will start looking into these concepts, and then we will, as I said, as a first topic, we will go and think like a developer. That is very important, right? We should not think that developer is somebody who has extreme knowledge on what he is doing. He has a lot of concepts, he knows about a lot of technical things. I will not be able to talk to him, convince him, because even to convince a response time problem, right? When we go and say a response time is I, most of the time the architects or developer, they will argue saying there is no problem at all. There's a problem with your environment or a script or test data. So now when you're going to go and talk to him about class or method or object, things are not going to be that easy, right? So we need to get that confidence. We need to get that mindset saying I know what you're doing, right? And we can go and confidently go and convince them saying, no, there is a problem with your code. This is where the problem, try to analyze it and fix it. So we will think ourselves as a developer, and then we'll go and try to learn a couple of Java basics, Java programming, okay, and then JVM concepts. That is going to be our first session. Okay, tomorrow maybe we will start with thinking as a developer. We'll go through Java basics. We'll go and create a few hands-on programs in the Eclipse. Connect two programs, two methods, two class files, compile it, run it, deploy it. That is what we are going to see it as part of the first session. I will take a pause now. It's around 35-40 minutes. I'll just take a pause for today's session. If there are any questions around your topics, what we are going to cover, any clarification you need, the timings are going to be pretty much same timing. It is going to start from the 7 a.m. What we started today, and it will go probably 1 hour, 1 hour 10 minutes, 1 hour 15 minutes, depending upon a logical ending of a topic, and depending upon the question and answer that we addressed in a day. So typically the sessions are going to be between 1 hour, 1 hour 15, 1 hour 20 minutes, right? That's an average. Okay, and Monday to Friday is what we mostly have it. And if at all everyone agrees for a Saturday, we might have it on a Saturday, or we will skip it. So mostly it is going to be Monday to Friday, depending upon the group's interest. We can also have it on a Saturday. That is going to be an optional one. Either we'll have it or we'll not have it. Okay, so this will the session is going to start from it is from day one is going to be tomorrow, since it's today is more of a walkthrough overview, right? It's a day 0 today, and day one is going to be from tomorrow, and then it will go for 3 weeks, three and a half weeks, 25 hours of sessions, plus or minus those 3 weeks, right? It could be 25 hours of sessions would be covering the entire topics. Okay, so I'll take a pass now. Any questions you have, feel free to ask the chat, or you can just unmute and ask your questions.
Yeah, Satish, hello. Hi, Satish, can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, this is Rajshekar speaking. Yeah. Do we have any requirement gathering from the client and test plan design and the reporting strategy?
Yeah. So as for the NFR and strategy, we will go over a couple of non-functional requirements that we used to get from the clients, and then I'll also have some sample test plan and strategy, which will be there in the drive. And during the session, we will discuss about how typically the NFR comes and how do we address it, how do we translate that into a project or a test plan. That we will cover in the session, but more from the artifacts, sample reports, sample strategy documents, sample NFRs that will be uploaded to the your Google Drive. In fact, that is there already there in the Google Drive.
Okay. How about the load design or kind of processes?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I mean the load design.
Okay, so when you say load design, how do we translate those NFRs into your workload, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that also we'll cover it. Yeah, how do we go on the business workload? That will be part of the NFR requirement.
Are you going to cover on the Kubernetes parts and AWS and other latest topics, or will it be just like brushing at the very high level?
So Venkat, as you see it in the topics, right? Whatever we have given as part of this course is tailored for the performance engineering sessions. The other part of Kubernetes and pods, it is going to be more from an introduction perspective, because if I need to go and include these topics, it is going to be again, it is going to increase the timeline, and that is something we don't want to do it as part of this engineering session. So those will be covered only at a high level, but the course is meant for, tailored for a specific project usage, and which means we will not go in depth into this Kubernetes or the pod level of analysis, Venkat.
So the real-time project, what is it? What kind of project are you guys going to use in this?
Real-time project? No, we are not handling any real-time project, right? It is going to be a real-time application. What I'm going to use it? As I shown it here, I have a Java application with a Java code which will be deployed in the Tomcat connecting to a SQL server. That is what we will use it for the entire session and entire troubleshooting all this response time problem or memory problem. So that is what we will use it for the course. It is practical. It is against a Java application, and that is what we're going to use. So when you say real-time project, right, that actually meant a different thing, because real-time project is something where we work for a specific requirement for a customer, and then we go through the entire cycle. So real-time project is nowhere it will be done in any of the um, uh, uh, training centers or any of the courses. That's a totally different real-time. So we also have a kind of a live performance crash course. We have it where we'll go through a typical from an NFR strategy, testing, scripting, execution, analysis. That's a little different thing, but nowhere we will have this real-time projects. So I think if you meant it's a real-time application, yes, we have a real application with which we will be um, uh, having all these topics and troubleshooting.
Yeah, so I
Satish,
mean, I'm not worried about the technical term, whether it's project or application. What I'm thinking is, okay, see, now the whole industry is in the cloud, microservices, Kubernetes,
So
pods,
I
right?
got that point. Sorry to cut off you, right? I could understand what you're saying. We have we know industry is moving, but we also know that application performance engineering is not changing, not changed, and this specific course is meant for the application performance engineering, not at the infra level or not at the hosting level. We also have some other courses for very specifically for the from a hosting perspective, from the infrastructure perspective, from a cloud perspective. We have a separate. We have divided those courses into two different things so that it will be a focused one. We don't want to just touch upon everything and finish it, right? We want to have a focused session. This is more from a application performance engineering, from a cloud infra, from hosting perspective. We have a separate sessions, a separate course, Venkat. We have very clear tailored course for these two different things, because we don't want to confuse between the way the applications are hosted. It could be a data center or a cloud, could be Azure or AWS, Kubernetes. That is more from a hosting perspective, how it is going to change. That we have a separate course. And then this is very specifically for the application performance engineering, right? We cannot combine everything and put it into one course, because it will be too much for everybody to learn and adopt. And if you want the details about that particular course, more in terms of hosting, infra level engineering, just ping me. I'll send you the course content for that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Satish, this is Shakti here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Shakti, please go ahead.
Yeah, so you just told this application performance engineering. So, and the application is Java application. So my question is, so suppose nowadays lots of people they're using SAP web and some other technology. So the concept will be same or how is it? Because I'm just curious about it. Currently, for example, we have SAP application, SAP web application. So is this the concept same or how is it?
Okay, so again, this is one of the regular popular questions, right? You are going to have
Mm-hmm.
these kind of product-based cost products, and we are going to
Mm-hmm.
have different technologies, right? Obviously, there are going to be n number of programming languages, a lot of technologies, a lot of these Pega kind of an application, SAP application, and product-based applications, correct? So uh, obviously the approach is going to be a little bit different when it goes to different technology or different programming language or different products. Okay, whatever the way we will have the sessions would be very cover most of the requirements, right? If you take every technology stacks, every architecture, you're going to have these kind of troubleshooting, or these kind of analysis has to be done in any architecture. But it is going to be very specific to SAP, correct? SAP,
Yep.
they might have this kind of an architecture for e-commerce. They might have some order management system. So few things into a product. SAP Hybris is a Java in the backend, so your approach is going to be same from SAP web, wherever it is going to get deployed. If it is not a SaaS based product, see, if it is going to be a SaaS based product, it is a complete black box. We will not do anything. Okay,
Okay.
we'll not
Okay.
the code deployment. The only thing is we will do a testing and make sure it is working. If it is going to be something we are going to deploy in our own mission, yes, the approaches are going to be same. But yes, from a technology, it is going to vary. If it is going to be a Node.js based application, or if it is going to be a .NET based application, the tools will change. But once you know how to do engineering, what is the approach you're going to take it? How do you go and do the bottleneck analysis? Once you do it for one particular tech stack, then your mind, engineering is all about exploring things, confidently doing it, right? Any engineer, if they're going to work in a project, they will not know New Relic. It's going to be a new tool. It could be .NET. It could be not an Oracle database. It could be maybe a MongoDB, right? But I know that there are going to be tools available with these technology. There are going to be profiling tools will be available. There will be a log. So the mindset is what we will it will help you to adapt to other technologies. Whatever you learn here, um, we can think of, okay, I learned this. Whether is it possible for me to go and work in some other technology? Yes, you will be able to do it. Right? Once you learn at least one particular stream in the structured way, you practice it, do a hands-on. You will be confidently able to go on. Even I don't know anything apart from one or two technology, right? I will not know everything. Nobody will know everything, right? But you will be able to take that challenge very easily once you have that mindset of engineering.
Okay. But still this AppDynamics is usable, right?
All these things are usable. See, please look into it, right? Response time
No,
analysis,
no.
debugging. AppDynamics is yes common. Thread analysis is
Yeah,
common. Client-side analysis is common.
yeah,
Tick stack,
correct.
everything is common, irrespective of all the other
All the
technologies. Yes.
applications. Okay, sure. Okay, thanks. I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah, Shakti. Thank you.
Satish, how much time you will spend on each individual tool? Like you have mentioned a lot of tools, JProfiler, Eclipse Mat, Visual VM. There are individual, right, 3 to 4 tools, right? JConsole. So individually, how much time you will spend on specific tools?
See, again, the sessions are not going to be tool specific, okay? Because be very clear that tools are going to change, okay? Yesterday it was load runner, today it is Jmeter, tomorrow it could be anything. But your basics of scripting, record and replay, correlation, parameterization are not going to change, right? Be it any tool. So the topics are going to be related to performance engineering. The way we will do it in the project, from a analysis perspective, from a troubleshooting perspective, we'll go and use the tools. If you JProfiler is nothing going to be different from YoKit. So I cannot go and say how much time we will spend in the tool, but it is more on the engineering topics we are going to spend time, and then to aid our analysis, we'll go and use the JConsole or JProfiler or your visual VM accordingly. So I don't
So
have an exact
we are
time
not
split.
going detail level. Suppose, as you mentioned, right, in the you will tweak your Java code, and you are having AppDynamics. So AppDynamics is a server-side monitoring tools, as well as like this Visual VM also will see the memory logs, right? So in the memory difference, like what extra we'll get in Visual VM, what we are not getting in AppDynamics, if we'll consider only the memory area. So if we have to consider in that way, then if Visual VM will give us more statistical analysis, then we should know a little bit more about Visual VM compared to AppDynamics, right?
True. So you will you will eventually get out of that, right? Why are we using Visual VM for garbage collection analysis? Why are we using JProfiler? What JProfiler cannot give it, what AppDynamics can give it, what AppDynamics cannot give it, what JProfiler can give it. Those things you will eventually get it. And if you have any questions, definitely we will discuss, definitely for sure. All these questions you will get it automatically. Reason why are we using JProfiler? Why not JConsole itself? Why we should use Visual VM? Why should we use the GC logs? Why should we use AppDynamics? All these things you will see. We're not just using the tool for a sake, right? Each tool are meant to do something. That you will get it for sure. Only thing is there are alternative for every tools, right? So we should not become an expert in tool. That is not required. But why JProfiler? Why JVisual VM? Why AppDynamics? You will get that clear difference of when to use it, why to use it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Amit, thanks.
Satish, are you going to cover the Linux related things like Linux commands if we don't have like any APM tool? So how to debug the issue through like Linux commands and all?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah.
Without API.
If we don't have like any APM tool like you have mentioned at Dynamics here, so how to debug any issue through like Linux commands and how we can do that and we can drill down
Yes.
that issue.
Yes, we will discuss the approach and how typically we do it in project, right? In for any customer, they might have 20-30 applications. Only for certain application they might have APM tools. For a few other things they might not have it. If APM tool is not there, obviously there are going to be little difficulty in troubleshooting the problem, but how do we overcome that? What are the, as a performance tester or engineer, how do we work with the developer to set up few things? Yes, those things we will definitely discuss during this session. When we going to cover the APM tool, we'll also cover this particular aspect. Yes.
Okay. And Satish, one more question. Are we covering like AppDynamics for monitoring purpose only, or we are going to configure as well? Like if we want to
Yeah,
configure our application with AppDynamics.
yeah. It is complete into setting up, I mean, how to go and create a cloud account, and then how to create an application, and then uh, configuring or connecting with our own Java application as a Java agent, and then making that communication between Java application to the AppDynamics. Second part is going to be your monitoring, and then third is going to be the diagnostics, troubleshooting the problems, and then fourth is going to be setting up some alerts and event so that you can easily pinpoint the problem. So it is going to be an end-to-end session for AppDynamics from configuration till analysis.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So if there are any questions, further questions, right, feel free to send a message to the WhatsApp group, or you can just ping me. If you have few more doubts, if you want to have a separate conversation with me to know more about the topics, right, just ping me or reach out to me. I'll be available in the daytime. Okay. And for enrollment, if you have any questions on the course duration, or the fees or a fee structure or payment related questions, you can feel free to ping in the group, or you can also reach out to Mr. Kumar. He will be able to help you out. Okay, but feel free to ask any question even after the session. If you have anything, just ping me in the WhatsApp. Okay, so the sessions will get started from tomorrow. So that is what it is planned. Okay, so thank you guys for joining this demo session, and we'll meet tomorrow. Yeah, thank you.